Hello and welcome to episode 57, I believe you said, Tyler,
Right. No, I believe we are at 57.
of In the Corner, obviously. I am BenNny Mac. Joining me as pretty usual most of the time is Tyler. Hello, mate. How are you? How are you? Bit of a rush before we came on, obviously.
Yeah, we were rushing for time. It was like a gauntlet match. It was incredible. But hey, no, I'm just always thrilled to join you, BenNny, and thank you once again for this wonderful opportunity. It's always a fun time.
Mate, you're part of the furniture now. You are the co-host. You know, it does say with
Part
BenNy
of the
Mac, but you are the
furniture.
co-host.
That could be a shirt. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Tyler
I've heard of
Peters,
part
part
of
of
the
the
family,
furniture.
but part of the furniture. What am I? The head or of the table or the doorstop to the door? I
The
don't know.
footstool of the In the Corner
Well,
podcast.
that's more appropriate. I was about to say. Yeah. Oh, hey, Connor.
Welcome to everybody in the chat. We'll get to those in a moment. Yeah, episode 57. We are live. I think this is the third live show of In the Corner.
I believe so.
Doing other shows, obviously Gameplay Junkies on SJP World Media as well. So I'm a little bit. How many have I done that one? How many have I done that one? But basically, I was getting my reps in, I was getting my exercise in, and I had to rush back from swimming and stuff. And I was like, luckily, this PC that I got that replaced the old one, like literally just goes boom and comes on really quickly. Then it's, hi Tyler, how are you? Oh, by the way, we've got like 60 seconds to go. Sorry, mate.
Exactly.
Trying to be. I think we were about a minute late, so I apologise to everybody. But Dan Griffin in the chat as well.
We meant to do it. Yeah, Dan Griffith, thank you. And it was an Urkel moment. We just meant to do it. That's all.
Just looking like my tea. Be with you shortly. Yeah, no problem, Dan. Hello, Connor, as well. Thank you very much. Connor actually hung out with us with me and Jack for the Gameplay Junkies Xbox showcase. This I know has nothing to do with wrestling right now.
Awesome.
And the Starfield Direct. That was a fun. It's not really an episode. It's available on the YouTube channel, the SHB World Media YouTube channel, if you want to rewatch us reacting to it. But for the first time in many years, Tyler, I'll save this for Gameplay Junkies. But for the first time in many years, I want to say at least 5 years, very excited about what's coming to the gaming world. And it's been a while, you get older, you've seen lots of things, but yeah, I was very,
I'm
excited
about for you all. Yeah.
Oh, we got to get you gaming with us, mate. I know you don't, but we got to get you gaming with us and get you on to see what you think. But it'd be interesting to get your take on it because somebody who's not really a gamer.
Talk about an experience to have me.
There we go.
You're gonna get me to cross over into to your world of gaming. I don't know. I don't know if everybody's ready for that. Hey, what about if I tell them to go fickle themselves? That'd be good.
But we're making it into a gaming style shirt. This would be fine. But anyway, so quite a lot to talk about actually. SmackDown and Raw and
there is.
So we'll get into SmackDown obviously. To be honest, again, because it's been a couple of days. Maybe I've not forgotten it all, but like the highlights of SmackDown. I think we've got to start with it. I'm a bit perplexed by it as well, based on what happened backstage. So Tyler has no idea what I'm about to say. We're flying by the seat of our pants, as they say. But Charlotte Flair returned, and I figured why not start here, And we literally have backstage. We have Bianca Belair being told, yes, you will have a championship match, for the title. But then Charlotte Flair jumps the queue essentially. So to Asuka. So what's going on here, man? What do you think of it?
I think everybody's scratching their head. The only thing I can think of, maybe are we going to get a triple threat with Bianca? Maybe that's how they figure her back in the plans. Or are we just getting a one-on-one contest between Charlotte and Asuka? I know that there's backstory to each of those ladies. And, I've got nothing but admiration and respect for Charlotte, regardless of what everybody's views are on the Queen. And it gave you that shock value. Here you go, Charlotte returning. Was it a letdown to certain fans? She even addressed them on Twitter. Sure, there's always that negativity element to anything, especially on the Twitterverse, so to speak. I don't mind it. These whole titles, pardon me, let me go back. All these championships, I'm even confused trying to explain it. It's got me very confused as well. It's just, I don't mind you rebranding them, but now you're just adding titles, I feel like, to add them. To me, it kind of devalues them after a while.
See, that's interesting because although initially, so we'll kind of blend in Raw here as well, because of obviously Rhea Ripley has been given so she's known as the world's women's champion, and Asuka is now known as the WWE women's champion, which is not, unusual. We have obviously seen similar bout designs in NXT as well. Part of me is with you in a sense of, really, can we not have, you're basically selling, it's Apple, basically. You're selling a bigger version of it, and then you're selling a smaller version of it. Where's my camera? It's over there. And a smaller version of it. So
what are the consolation prizes? I mean, to me.
Well, then the other way to look at it, by making them look like the men's heavyweight championship bouts, you could argue that maybe it propels it a bit higher, because now their bouts are very similar to the men's, in a sense of, this is the men's world champion, this is the women's world champion. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, it could have been a lot better. Let's face it. To be honest, I don't mind the bout designs that they've done. Roman's is okay, I guess. It's got the gold on it, which we've already spoke about before. But ultimately, it depends on how you look at it. I'm trying to look at it more as a positive, but I can't argue the negative. I can't really disagree with the negative side of it either, because they are basically smaller versions. They are basically smaller versions of the men's. But like I said, does that elevate the women's championship, or does it make it basically,
That would be my argument. Is it actually going to elevate and represent it well, or is this just going to add more just booking decisions where we place ourselves in corners instead of trying to see a logical way to get out of it? But I'm sure with patience and seeing this develop, that they'll be able to do that. I always like to look at the positives as well, but I can't help but kind of look at the other perspective of it. It's just, when's it too much? Because we had a Raw Women's Champion, we had a SmackDown Women's Champion, and I don't mind you rebranding it and actually calling it a Women's Championship.
No,
but
I don't
they
even
still
mind
get other titles.
Yeah. No, go on. I was just going to say, like, I don't even mind it being called the World's Women's Championship. That's a great idea, because that differentiates between the two champions in a sense. But
correct.
As much as I want this show to be a positive, and most of the time we are, but there are little things every now and again. Could they have just not been different designs? But by not calling them,
they could have.
Yeah. By not calling them the Raw and SmackDown, obviously down the line when the draft, I assume we'll have one next year at some point. I would like a bit more of gravitas to it, like we used to have when we used to have matches, and see who gets a bit more of a.
I would like it to actually be a split. To your point, we're already getting cross pollination. If I can use that analogy,
it's great. Yeah,
it's getting on my nerves a little bit, because I'm thinking, these free agents are good. Let me get off my soapbox, because I think I've been a little too kind, BenNy. Okay, this is where the fickle version of myself comes out, and it drives me crazy. Let's keep stars on each brand respectively, so the viewers are not scratching our heads. We're not having headaches. We're not thinking I need to get high off medicine or something. It's driving me absolutely up the wall. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just, and I respect everything that WWE is trying to do. I'm such a fan that we're passionate. I don't have all the answers. The booking thing is very complex. I couldn't do it. So, hey, credit goes to them. It's just, but if we're going to have our opinions, I just think, man, we're getting so many different shades here, meaning the titles. I don't care if you design them, to your point. I don't care if you rename them. I don't know if maybe their point of reference is you get Money in the Bank. Maybe they're trying to reward it. That's what I mean by the consolation prize.
Yeah.
But still, then it still leaves you perplexing. I'll borrow the term you just used a little while ago. I don't mind Charlotte getting involved, but then they have to explain Bianca. So I get why even in storyline she's frustrated, because, hey, I just came off a program with Asuka. They're still unfinished business. So that's what makes me think maybe we'll get some sort of triple threat, or somehow they'll get her involved. I mean, I'm not for certain or sure that those kind of relate those terms, but it would, be sensible.
It makes sense. And that is also a good way, because I don't think Asuka should drop it this quick. So it's also a good way of having that triple threat where she doesn't necessarily have to beat Bianca. Let's face it, she probably will, and then it'll leave Charlotte open for a future, one-on-one possibly. I'm guessing. I don't know whether we're seeing
another opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know whether we're seeing the start of maybe Bianca possibly turning. It could be.
Maybe she does.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a good time.
I think so. Actually, do you know what? I think it's a perfect time for her to do it. Really, in the next, whether it's Money in the Bank or in the next month or two, to see.
Maybe she
not
could
necessarily
be whining. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm not meaning to interrupt you.
No. I was just going to say, instead of it just being like a natural flip, she starts getting frustrated with the management, aka Adam Pearce in this case, and it starts progressively, and then by SummerSlam, she's like had enough of this BS, and she's now heel. So, I know you could even see that.
I was about to say,
you could even
be more whiny.
Yeah,
she's
there you
doing
go.
Now. Kind of tease it where, hey, what about me? Adam Pearce said that's a great analogy. I mean, we do disagree on this show, but I can't help but concur that's not a bad way to go about it.
It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, what are your thoughts about Charlotte coming back? Is it?
I don't mind Charlotte coming back.
Yeah, I was a bit like.
I mean, it wasn't. I think we're just so used. I think that's what takes a little bit of the surprise element out when she does return, even though she's away and she's absent, because everybody's expecting it a little too much now. I think that is the thing that does hurt Charlotte when she returns. But you can't deny that she's one of the best wrestlers.
No.
I don't care if it's women or men. So for those fans complaining, hey, cry me a river, give me tissues, give me Justin Timberlake. I don't care what you want. You're not going to tell me that Charlotte Flair is not one of the better wrestlers and technicians. Of course she is. I just think it's with her presentation. And now, is she going to be more of a heel, or is this more babyface Charlotte? I guess she's more of the babyface because Asuka right now is a heel. And if you got Bianca turning heel, then to me, you'd have to have one babyface in the mix. But to me, I think I'm with a lot of the people, though. I like a villainous Charlotte better.
I think she is a better heel. I'll give you that 100%. I think it's the thing. I know she is this. She's what, 14-time champion?
Yeah, 14 times.
Yeah. Fine. But I kind of want her not to win it because I want to see, because she's been in it so much. It'd be why not have some, like, I don't know how to put better rivalries, blood feuds, whatever you want to call them. Why not go down that road? Why not? Well, I know they're on separate brands, and probably that's done for a reason. But we never really got a conclusion for Becky and Charlotte, and obviously there was real life stuff going on there as well. So
I mean, it was real, so it would lend credibility even more so now.
Yeah. So I don't. Again, bit like Becky Lynch. I don't necessarily need to see her in a world championship or even a championship bout at the moment. The same with Charlotte, even though
you can overdo it. I think that's just me, but I think you can. Hey, Si, how's it going? I just think it's kind of getting repetitious, and we're conditioned to get tired of anything. I don't care if it's a good television series. I don't care if it's a good film. If you're not able to at least put some new wrinkles or new twists in it, or at least freshen it up, I think I see that as a glaring problem, even with somebody like Charlotte, like Becky. And I think it's kind of showing on Raw and SmackDown right now. It's kind of like an in-between point where it's not good, it's not bad, but it's not been great, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does feel like we seem to be having like a 2-week turnover in a sense of we'll have these things happen, and then we don't have anything for 2 weeks, or the next. So then that happens, and 2 weeks we don't have anything, and then we have other stuff going on to fill more time. Then what we were watching 4 weeks ago then comes back around again. It's like a weird stagger going on. I think it kind of works though because things aren't necessarily all rammed in at the same time in one pay-per-view, trying to fit it all in. I mean,
we're used to it. If you're watching WWE, that's been their formula. So
yeah,
in a weird way, it does make sense, but it can also confuse you. So, and maybe they're doing it by design. It's working. It's being effective. I'll tell you.
I am in the last month or two. Don't get me wrong. There's been some real, but most of it was keeping it going for me, as we keep saying every week on this show, is the Bloodline stuff, which we'll get to in a moment. But because normally we talk about SmackDown and we only talk about one thing, but there's actually quite a lot of stuff happened this past week on SmackDown for us to actually, get into.
There was.
I would say we have got to talk about it, but like we got to quickly. I just want to go through some results. But yeah, I think Charlotte needs to. I don't necessarily need to see Charlotte in a title match right away. For me, I would like a bit of.
She doesn't need it. I mean, she's had it 14 times. Becky's had it enough so far to where it's not going to hurt them. They're already established. They're already stars. They don't necessarily need any momentum back because they can easily get it.
It's quite annoying
I think
that she.
Asuka's got it. No, I think Asuka does need it, and Bianca. I think that's some of your younger talent coming up need it. Sure, they need to be in there to get the rub sometimes, but I don't even think when you've got an Asuka and a EST like Bianca Belair, they've been in there long enough now and been successful. They don't even require getting that rub from a star like a Charlotte or Becky.
Yeah, I mean, you could have her chasing down because what? No, hang on. No, 16 times. So she could chase down her dad's record, couldn't she? Obviously, but
I mean,
again,
she could.
But again, winning the title and then disappearing, and then she lost it, and then she was gone. And that does happen. So that does happen sometimes. I'm not. Sometimes you need to have a refresh or whatever. But Charlotte was only back for 2 months, and then she was gone. It wasn't like they were vignettes. There's not even been vignettes about it. Which by the way, I need to bring that up quickly. We are getting, even if somebody like say for argument's sake, a Matt Riddle is not on Raw, we're getting little trailers. We've had trailers of Gargano and stuff, so it's keeping it fresh in people's. And Lashley, yeah, so it's keeping them fresh. They are still here. We will see them soon. So, and I quite like the Rhea Ripley's one on Raw this past week was really good. I love that. Like,
that was great.
That was cool. So,
seeing multiple Rhea Ripleys was really grabbed me.
I like that multiple personality thing possibly going on there. I don't know. I'm loving the. We'll get on to Raw. Actually, I won't get there yet. We'll get on to Raw, mate. There's a lot about Judgment Day I want to talk about as well. So I'm sure there's stuff that you want to talk to about as well. But
sure.
Asuka was presented with the new SmackDown Women's Championship. We've kind of talked about it. Obviously, Charlotte Flair returned. I think you're probably right. I think a triple threat coming up, possibly Money in the Bank. Maybe that doesn't happen at Money in the Bank. Maybe that happens at. What's after Money in the Bank? SummerSlam, I think.
Yeah, SummerSlam.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked the Corbin thing. You've already touched on the free agents stuff. You don't really like it. I'm with you. Unless it's like a new talent that's being like someone coming in, they might visit all three brands to see where they want to go. I'm accepting of that because before they sign with a brand, either stay there or don't. But on top of that, mate, we've got to talk about it now because we're talking about it. But Seth Rollins apparently is going to NXT next week to answer the challenge for Braun Breaker. I don't know if you're aware of this.
He is. I did hear about it. But I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm kind of with you. I don't know that he needs to go face Braun Breaker. I would kind of wait for Braun Breaker to be on the main roster if you're going to do it.
Yeah, if you need to do it, maybe this is like a weird sort of on-air test to see what Braun Breaker can do against. Seth Rollins, maybe. And why not get a number out of it, I guess. It makes sense in the business sense. But
they may need a rating. So, hey, who else? You're going to bring a star from what people are seeing more on their Raw or SmackDown. You bring them down to NXT. And there's a lot of history because Seth, what was he? One of the first, if not inaugural NXT
Seth
champion?
Rollins was the very first NXT champion for that particular brand. So, yeah. I mean, they keep talking about the World Heavyweight Championship like he's the very first. This is a continuation, which we've already talked about on previous episodes. It's there in the archives, ladies and gents, on SJP Raw Media. If you want to go listen to us rant about it, check out so many shows on SJP Raw Media. We have Bayley and Io Sky. I don't know you call it Io Shirai, which she used to be called.
That gets you tongue-tied there.
It did, yeah. But Bayley's now in the Money in the Bank's women's side of things. We've got I think both fields are full now, are they? Or are we waiting for one more on SmackDown?
I think they're both full. I think that on Raw, we had Damian Priest beat Riddle to get the last spot. So
I'm glad about that, actually, to be fair, because I want to see Damian Priest do well, because I think he's had a long run with this Judgment Day, and there's some stuff which again we'll talk about in a moment because there's some stuff going on there. I think we are starting to see a
lot of
possible
interesting
moments.
dynamics going on with Damian Priest and the whole Judgment Day group.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find the field, but I can't find it. But yeah, but it's going to be interesting with Bailey and Io Sky in the same match. Bailey will expect to be the one for her to step aside to let her win it. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic, and whether
That adds a twist.
Yeah, 100%. Scarlett blinding AJ Styles with Red Dust, with Karen Cross then hitting the is it the cross jacket he calls it?
I think kind of like a sleeper hold or something.
Yeah,
or maybe more so to Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Clutch in a way. Kind of reminds you of both those submission holds.
I wonder if I can find it. I'm going to try and find it. I was watching TikTok the other day. I didn't log in because I was in such a rush to get it. I didn't actually get it prepped. I was trying to get this. I don't know whether you've seen this, but it's I wonder if.
You do a fantastic job, BenNny.
Yeah, trying to.
No, you do. I mean, seriously, this is hard to do. I want everybody to understand how difficult it is to do these kind of shows. I don't think everybody fully comprehends that.
I will find it if I can. I think I liked it and saved it. But basically, I'll try and find it. If I can, I'll play it. But basically, Karrion Kross doing a Jesse Ventura impression. I don't know if you saw it, but it was absolutely... I was like... Because the video came on, I wasn't looking. I went, it's Jesse... That's not Jesse Ventura. It was Karrion Kross.
You thought it was Jesse Ventura.
I actually thought it was. I'll try and find it, but it was absolutely... I can't blimmin' see it on here now.
We've got to go see it, because I love Jesse Ventura and Karrion Kross. To hear anybody do any impersonation, I'm hooked. I'm there. Count me in.
I was so surprised by it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is like... Was it on TikTok? Maybe it wasn't on TikTok.
He must have emulated him very well for you to have that type of reaction. Because you hear some impressions, you're like, okay, that was decent. It was pretty good. Then you'll hear those that people think, wow, if I didn't see your face, I would have thought that was that actual person.
Let me see if I can share it with everybody, because I was going to get this prepped beforehand, but obviously, like I said, let me see if I can share it. So we're on TikTok here.
We ain't got time to... Don't tell me you don't have 4 more reps in you. Come on, Chris. Don't tell me it didn't happen. I was there.
Jesse Ventura's here?
I was doing tricep extensions in the Gulf of Tonkin. I'm a frogman. So are you, Chris. Come on.
Whoa, that is spot on, man.
I was absolutely blown away by it. I was, oh my God, that's... Because obviously he's quite a dark character or whatever in TV, so to see a bit of personality
on his mouth is helping his effect too. I guess there's something about the way he's positioning his lips, I could tell, but it was spot on. You would have envisioned Jesse the Body Ventura. They need to have Cross do commentary like Jesse Ventura.
Yeah,
it would be epic.
It was absolutely. I was like, oh my God, my mate. I was in an Xbox party chat, and my mic's on. And he could hear me watching this video. He goes, oh dude, you got to see this. And he goes, this is Karrion Kross doing a Jesse Ventura impression. He's like, what? He goes, I honestly thought that was Jesse Ventura doing it. It's really good.
If you didn't see Karrion Kross, that would have been my initial impression. That would have been, you couldn't have been able to tell them apart with Ventura or Kross.
It was bloody brilliant, to be fair. I enjoyed that big time.
It was impressive. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was even laughing. I mean, it didn't take me long to crack a smile and start just giggling because it was so good. It was a compliment.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it big time. Hang on, let's get through this quickly. Santos Escobar defeated Mustafa Ali. So we've got Santos Escobar in the Money in the Bank match as well.
Yeah, we did. Hey, can we talk about that spot just real briefly? Did you see where Mustafa Ali flipped and landed on the mat and he drop kicked Escobar? I just got to say, I'm not really for spots all the time, but I will give those guys their just due. That was pretty amazing athleticism, just like Wade Barrett was alluding to on commentary.
You can get too much, can't you? If it, you want it to mean something. So
yeah, you can get too flashy, but I will say that was one heck of a segment.
Good news for the UK fans going to Money in the Bank as well. Butch is going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match as well, aka Pete Dunne. To be honest, mate, I already called my shot about a week or so ago. I thought LA Knight, based on what happened on Raw, which again, we'll talk about in a mo. We got to get through the Bloodline stuff yet, but I'm actually struggling now because there's so many ways this could go, and I'm even thinking it would be very interesting, which we'll get into on the Raw side of things, if Damian Priest won it. I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll talk about that. We'll come back round to that in a moment.
Yeah, fascinating. I can't wait to dive into that one more.
Butch obviously defeated Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin got distracted by the NXT champion, allegedly, even though he didn't do anything. But they started having a go at Butch backstage. And what I really loved about this was Cameron Grimes laid out Corbin backstage out of nowhere. Cameron Grimes 2-3 weeks ago said, when he comes back to SmackDown, let me deal with him, and he freaking did. And I'm like, go on, Cameron Grimes. I was like,
he's a man of his word.
He is, absolutely. We'll get to the chat in a moment, guys. I can see you. Don't worry, I can see you. We'll get to you. Pierce announced, so this week on SmackDown, there's going to be a gauntlet match for the tag team, to become tag team number one contenders for the tag team titles. Right. What I'm trying to say. We had an impromptu main event on Raw, didn't we? Obviously, we might as well talk about it now quickly. The SmackDown tag team champions Sami Zayn and KO defended against, not Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther because of Giovanni being injured last week backstage. So I don't know whether, I think this is a kayfabe thing, but I'm not sure.
It may be. It may be just a way to kind of get him off TV a week. I'm not sure how legitimate, if he is injured. I think it may just be a work to kind of get him off TV.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you know what, though? Hopefully, because you never know. Just sometimes they play into it, don't they? So, but I'm hoping it's just part of the whole Matt Riddle thing.
I hope so, too. I hope he's not hurt.
Yeah, I didn't check, actually, to be fair. I should have. I think I took it as a kayfabe. It's just because of get him off TV, and it then plays into what happens.
I think we would have heard of something, so I think you're correct. I think it's got to be kayfabe. I would have thought something would have came out by now.
And that's pretty much it. What happened on SmackDown? I actually enjoyed SmackDown overall. It was a good
SmackDown
show.
Was pretty good.
Yeah. Let's get into the main bulk of what was going on SmackDown in terms of the Jey Uso bloodline stuff, which we love on this show. Let's face it. I was very surprised. We do. I was very surprised that the show kicked off with Paul Heyman and Solo in the ring. I was waiting for this to be maybe the second segment, but it was a brilliant way to start the show. I mean, what did you think?
It was a great way to begin it. I mean, why not? You don't always have to hold off on the bloodline content till to finish out your programming, so I was all for it. Oh, LA Knight, yeah, we're big fans of Mr. Knight.
But so basically, Paul Heyman is basically off. Now, this was obviously probably done intentionally, but it seemed very cheesy and very manipulative towards, Roman wants to groom you to be the next tribal chief. Oh, and to prove this, we've managed to orchestrate a United States Championship match for you. Totally kissing Jay's ass. I love this.
Heyman was that. He's up to something.
What a surprise. I'll tell you what, when you shake that bloke's hand, make sure you check your pockets because he's probably got your wallet.
You'll need to wash your hands.
Well, get some of that Purell, as you guys call it. It's basically Jay says, "I'll take the United States Championship match, but for the other stuff, I'll catch you later," and walks out the ring, which got a really good pop actually. And Paul Heyman's face again. Paul Heyman sold it brilliantly. Solo
his expressions,
yes, 100%. And then obviously we'll fast forward later on. We have Jey Uso taking on Austin Theory. Now, we talked about a little bit last week about the suspending the disbelief last week. For a moment in this match, I thought Jey Uso was going to do it. I genuinely believed it. I was starting to believe as that match went on that we were going to see a new United States champion. I mean, what did you think about it, the whole sort of match, quickly, before we talk about the other story elements?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Just some brief highlights. They did tell a pretty decent story of Jey Uso looking like he was going to become the next and new United States champion. I don't know that I quite would go with that. I thought it was going to be a reality. I mean, they did a good enough job, but that's where I would just slightly disagree. But hey, overall, still a good match. I like what they did. I mean, Austin Theory, I'm a big supporter of anyways.
Yeah, same, 100%. It was just that moment of like, nah, they won't do it. Could they? And I like when I get sort of like in my own head, I'm like, yes, they will. No, they won't. Yes, they will. No, they won't. Because it becomes a lot more entertaining. And then when obviously what went down with the new tag team, I forget what they called again. The
Pretty Deadly.
Pretty Deadly coming into. I like this pairing of Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly. I actually like that
That's not bad.
I actually like that. That could be because they're all a bit. I mean, Pretty Deadly are like a little bit more, but they're all kind of got that poser, like I'm the best, or I'm the look at me type sort of thing going on.
Yeah, it's all about me and what I can do. But yeah, Austin Theory. Normally, I would go, hey, I like him better just being by himself alone. But with Pretty Deadly, it's been a pretty good combination.
Yeah, I just thought quickly. I'm not saying by no stretch am I comparing them to the great tag team and the great world champions that they were and stuff. But in the early days, Edge and Christian. I'm not saying Edge and Christian were Pretty Deadly, but I can see a comparison there. Whether it's just me, I don't know. But with the Kazoo days and the benefit of photography and all that kind of stuff, and then them teaming with Kurt Angle. Now, by no stretch am I comparing Austin Theory to Kurt Angle, but having that dynamic, I feel like you could have a similar like them to just that whole dynamic of those three. I think could be really good going forward.
It could be entertaining. I think there's so much potential. That's why they called up Pretty Deadly. And now you add Austin Theory. I mean, even though he's still relatively new, he's had enough experience now on the main roster. He can carry those guys, and they can help him out. Give him the big assist.
Yeah, and I think it'd be a great. Again, like I said, I'm just kind of trying to think of a comparison. But I used to laugh, even though they were like heels. I used to laugh at Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle back in the day. That early 2000s.
Oh, it was great stuff.
When
I
mid
do recall.
2000s. Yeah, I enjoyed that. So yeah, ultimately, Pretty Deadly get involved. Jay's got to kind of fight them off, and then Jimmy comes out to a big pop, no music, just running out. Tries to help his brother out. Ultimately, then Solo gets in the ring, trying to hit the Samoan spike. Jay jumps on Solo and basically stops him from doing it. Then Solo pushes off Jay, and then Jimmy's then free, and then tries to super kick Solo, but ends up super kicking Jay Uso. And SmackDown goes off the air with obviously Austin Theory still United States champion, which ultimately is the right decision. I'm not going to dispute that, Tyler, at all. We'll get to the chat in a minute. But Jay kind of but then Jay kind of looking like he may stay with the bloodline. Paul Heyman smiling about it, but also Jay did say, "If I'm in the bloodline, you're not going to be Paul Heyman." So no,
he did backstage, before.
So, but yeah, it was really interesting. Roman Reigns is going to be there this week. We've got tag team turmoil going on. And that's all I really know what's happening on SmackDown. I love waking up Saturday morning. Is the
unification match occurring this week, or is that in a couple of weeks? The one between the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Isla Dawn, Alba Fire, and Rousey and Baszler. Is that happening this week, or is that next week?
I think that might be next week. I could be wrong, but I think that's next week. I don't know why they're unifying them. I don't know why they're unifying the NXT.
I would think NXT would need some women's tag team titles. It's not like their whole division's depleted. Just no offense to Fire Dawn. So
they should why can't they just relinquish them and have a tournament down in NXT for them? Why is it got to be? I don't know what's going on there. I don't really understand that.
See, this is going to sound bad, but to me, that BenNy, what you said actually makes sense. Here's why I'm getting a little negative and not trying to sound hypocritical or disrespectul.
No,
but it's like, what are we doing? It's just
I don't really get it, to be honest with you, but
no,
because I don't watch NXT, I don't know what the roster's like, but I was under the impression they had quite a deep roster, men and women, tag teams and singles. So maybe they haven't.
I believe they did. Yeah, maybe I'm incorrect in my observation because I don't get a chance to watch it all the time. I'm like you, if I catch clips here or there or read up on anything NXT regarding it.
We're gonna have to expand the in the corner
we may
team
need to.
And have an NXT show as well, maybe at some point when we got a bit more Maybe we need to hire somebody else, Tyler, to do that for us. I don't know.
Yeah, we need to do. We need to have like our own personal NXT insider that can help keep
Pop
us
in
up to
and help.
date on these
Yeah,
things.
that is a bloody great idea. We're gonna have to put out applications.
I actually
ladies and
had a
gents.
great idea.
Yeah,
I did. I can't believe it.
other
Maybe
than your fickle
once in a
t-shirt.
lifetime. Yeah. There you
Well,
go.
that's Tyler has peaked, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let's
That's my plateau. I'm done for. See ya.
let's go to the chat because it has been going as we've been talking about SmackDown. SmackDown, I really did enjoy actually, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty good show overall.
Raw this week was actually with Raw. I kind of watched the first part of it, which is like the first hour or so, and then I go and do something else, and I come back to it because it is too long. Still, I will moan about that to the end of time.
Yeah, it's
but
lengthy.
It's just pay-per-view and special draft episodes. I loved it when they did that, but now again, I will moan. Raw is too long. I need to have that on a t-shirt. Sorry, if you're still in the chat.
Yeah, we need to market Raw. It's too long, and hey, I can't wait to discuss how I wasn't a big fan of this week's Raw.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Dan Griffin, Cross's Jesse Ventura impression is the best thing he's done since coming back to WWE.
Well, it's hard to argue.
That's a ma. I think he means that's amazing, even. LA Knight, yeah. So Dan Griffin is calling LA Knight winning the Money in the Bank. I am 70% now saying LA Knight is winning it. I think possibly any other lot is Damian Priest. I'm torn now. I'm still, but
They've done a great job drawing interest in Damian Priest now, more so. Not just LA Knight, which I think is good because I think, to be honest, the headlines, and rightfully so, have been always rumored that LA Knight's going to be the guy to win it, but shouldn't always be the case. I think you throw the bait out there and we all take it, and then you give us a Damian Priest, you give us some of these other competitors that you make it where, hey, these guys have a shot too. It's not just a one-man gig here.
yeah. Dan Griffin, I miss Cameron Grimes' beard. I remember him with the beard. He did look a bit weird. He was very fresh-faced when he came up to SmackDown. I don't know how long he's not had a
No,
beard
he
for.
did. What happened to his beard? I mean, he was. I'm from the South. He was a Carolina guy. He was hairy. I could relate. I try to shave mine. People's like, okay, we missed the facial hair. So
Bring
I
it
guess
back.
my face scares them enough to where they just, hey, please have something to cover it. That's what we're trying to say.
People loved me when I had a face mask on during COVID, so it was now they hate me again. Dan Griffin, bloody love tag team turmoil.
What a transition.
I do like a tag team turmoil match as well. The worst part about Pretty Deadly at the moment is having to see Austin Theory. What is wrong with Austin Theory, Dan Griffin? Put it in the chat, man.
Dan Griffin is not a fan.
No, apparently so, according to Sai. Based on that comment, I would assume
Sai
so.
agrees.
Austin Theory is one of wrestling's many questionable characters. Each
Dan
their
Griffin
own.
has a lot of Austin Theory hate. I can respect his opinion. Maybe we ought to get Dan the I hate Austin Theory shirt or something. I'm not a fan.
Quite
Maybe
possibly,
he hates a
quite
little
possibly,
too
yeah.
steep, but I'm just not a supporter.
There
That's
you
fair,
go.
though.
Each their own. I'm liking what he's been very sporadic lately, but I am quite liking. I do like this, as I've already said, this combination of Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory. I think it has potential, as you said, is probably the best thing. I think it's really good.
A lot of talent. I mean, between all three of those guys.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What was this? Google Austin Theory speaking out. Speaking out about what? He brings the sport. Oh, okay. Well, he brings the sport to Jimmy Savage.
Getting deep.
It's getting a bit. Maybe there's something else going on there that I'm not aware of. Okay. Well, he's innocent until proven guilty. We'll leave it at that. Let's move on to Raw before we go down that rabbit hole too much.
Maybe we should move on. That's a good idea.
Yeah, let's do it. Raw talking points. So obviously, Money in the Bank's coming up. It's going to be the UK. My nose is itching right on air. Thank you.
Thank you, allergies.
It could very well be. It could be the chlorine from the pool where I was swimming earlier, I guess.
Chlorine, yeah. Or chlorine. They're both guilty.
Yeah. I called this, but we'll talk about it quickly. Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio is actually happening at Money in the Bank now. I do believe we are going to see Dominic Mysterio go over on Cody due to outside interference, or Cody could win and then Brock is going to attack. The one thing I want to give a 95% assurance on, I think, is that Brock Lesnar will be at Money in the Bank.
I think Lesnar's got to be because Cody's promo. He's saying that Brock is scared of him. He doesn't have the cojones, or however you want to say it, our lower regions. We went a little bit deep there. Talking about getting deep. Anyways, I'm getting back to regular scheduled programming. Shout out to Josh's program. But anyways, it's just that's the thing. I think we're going to have to see Brock Lesnar appear, or maybe even a tease of it. Rhea probably will get involved, maybe not with Dominic. I'm actually not mad that you said Dominic needs to not. He's over. Trust me, I was going to say get over. I mean go over Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like Cody returning, and he does need a win, I don't think wins or losses are hurting him because he's so popular. It's like Dominic too. So that's kind of a hard one to pick. But I can actually see Dominic maybe getting the win there. I'm coming at it from left field, right field, home plate. You can draw kind of baseball comparisons. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think we are going to see, and Dan Griffin in the chat, highly likelihood of shenanigans in Cody versus Dom. Yeah. So even if Brock doesn't turn up, we've still got Rhea Ripley ringside more than likely, and we've still got Judgment Day there. So Dominic's on a bit of a winning streak at the moment. I don't think he hasn't had many matches in fairness, but in the matches he has had in the last month, I think he beat Xavier Woods, didn't he? Again,
I think so. He's beat Xavier Woods, and I can't remember who else he defeated, but he's doing really well.
Yeah, outside interference, obviously. Rhea Ripley, Mummy, and all that kind of stuff going on.
It's got to be, because if you're going to be the next incarnation of Latino Heat, and he's going to have Mommy Rhea Ripley, there's got to be the shenanigans. There's got to be the outside interference, because that's what makes him such a lying, cheating heel. I mean, you got to.
Yeah. That's why people boo him. Boo him to.
And it's tremendous. I know we talk about it, but we can't help but bring it up. I mean, he's finally able to get his words out in his promo, but it's still very difficult because, man, the people are right on him. As soon as he picks up the mic, it's just like it's so loud.
Doesn't have to pick. They can just see him reaching for the mic and he start booing, don't they?
Yeah, actually, no, you're correct. Even before he gets the microphone.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Well, like I said, if you got Rhea Ripley out there, I'm going to be honest. It makes everything better.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily mind. We talked about the bouts at the top of the show, but like the new women's championship, world women's champion, I don't mind the name of that at all. I just wish.
It was more clear to us.
Well, just the bout designs more than anything that's annoyed me, because the negative way of looking at it's just a smaller version of the world championship. Now, again, like I said at the top of the show, does that? Oh, chat, what do you think? Does that elevate it?
Help us out in the chat.
So does those bouts being the same looking make it more so when the women's, they're like this in terms of heavyweight championships, male or female? Does it make it the same importance? But it just could have been something different, different design.
May be kind of their inclination, maybe trying to give the women just as much reference, because we have heard the criticisms, and you brought up a fantastic point. I must give you a lot of credit, even though that pains me, because
mate, when I first saw it, don't get me wrong, when I first saw it, I was like, can we just have a different bout? Can we have a different design? But I don't mind the names and stuff, like I said, but also obviously not calling it SmackDown and not calling it Raw Championship or whatever. If the draft happens and Rhea ends up, say Rhea is still champion by then, say Rhea and Asuka swap shows, you have the WWE Women's Champion on Raw and you have the World Champion on SmackDown. So it doesn't go, why is the SmackDown Women's Champion on Raw?
And maybe you just answer what we're having the debate about now that I think about it. Maybe that's why they don't want to worry about brands as much. And I don't know if you caught it. I was trying to give you a little tease there where I'm going, it pains me to give you too much credit because I agreed with you. But, I don't know if you caught that earlier. But BenNy, you ought to know our relationship. He puts up with me. Now he's going to fire me after this goes off. So
you've had more P45s than me over the last year. I'm glad that they moved away from all the top four bouts looking the same. Well, yeah, I suppose it's...
that's a positive,
The World title bouts are decent, especially with the white strap. Yeah, again, did it need to be a carbon copy of the main men's bout? Yeah, they do. I don't,
But I know what you're saying, though. They don't need to look exactly like the men. If they're going to be a women's division, you want it to stick out as something significant to them. Is I guess what
Yeah.
I'm trying to imply.
Yeah. One of my favorite matches this week on Raw was Bronson Reed versus Ricochet. I'm into Bronson Reed's look, his the way he is and stuff, but I'm not saying it's a mismatch, but I thought it was a really good match. Now ultimately we end up having a disqualification via Shinsuke and actually costing Ricochet the match. So that's quite good to get Bronson Reed back on track after losing his Money in the Bank qualifying match. I mean, what do you think of the match? I really enjoyed this, and I recommend if you don't watch it, give Bronson Reed a look. Definitely, I think he's really good at the moment.
I like Bronson Reed. The stuff he does in the ring is impressive, and Ricochet as well. This is going to sound harsh. I'm not as crazy about this kind of creative with Bronson Reed and Ricochet or Nakamura. I think Nakamura on against Bronson Reed next week for Raw is going to be pretty good, or at least that's my intentions, my hopes. I want to see Bronson Reed. He doesn't have to be against a big monster. We just saw it with Lashley. And you get the kind of the Rey Mysterio type deal with Ricochet. I don't know. They're kind of throwing me off with how, not just with the women's belts and men's belts, but some of the creative going into Bronson Reed. I admire what he's able to do. I want him to be nastier. I guess maybe it's not so much the opponents as it's his presentation. I just want Bronson Reed. I think he can be more of a monster than what he's doing.
I agree.
That's just where I'm coming at it from.
In the grand scheme of things, I agree with you 100%. I just the match I enjoyed watching it, but I think he does need to be more of
fair.
Yeah. He needs to be more of a monster and more of because when I hear his music, I'm not quite got to the Kane level yet, but it's like, oh, here we go, and I want to see.
I mean, business is going to pick up, like JR says, but to your point, it's not like when Kane, Undertaker, or some somebody was going to get there, or Austin. Even though he wasn't a monster, just the 316. Now we're going way back. I'm showing my age now, or our age. What's going on? We better stop.
We're not as old as Cy, though. Hey. There.
We love you, Cy.
Yeah. I mean, Cody Rhodes did have a match against The Miz. He's still wearing the cast on his arm. I just want to get out there. It was a good opening match. I haven't really got much to say about it.
Well, it was all right. I mean, it served its purpose. I mean, nothing against Miz or Cody. I still didn't fall in love with it, but I admit they had to do it. I think what kind of ruined it for me is the way Miz was getting the cheap shot, which was okay, but I felt like that got a little forced. I much rather prefer just Dominic and Rhea having that segment with Cody, and then maybe Miz doing that in the match later on. But
Yeah, no, I agree.
I guess that's kind of what I was examining, if I'm going to be honest with everybody.
Yeah, they could have done it. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because so Miz got in the ring as they were trying to. It seemed like they mistimed it as well. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, and maybe it went longer as why.
Yeah. So maybe that's why Miz had to do what he did. But it did seem to be the finish of the promo was good. We end up having Dominic Mysterio getting another cheap shot in as well, or attempting to. So, yeah.
Which I didn't mind it. I mean,
No.
If you're going to build to a match, Dominic needs to get another cheap shot or Cody retaliate, or maybe it's good to keep him away, to your point, and really build this thing. I'm all for it. And nothing against The Miz. I've grown to be a big admirer of The Miz. It's just, I don't know. And I get you have to continue what happened last week, but it just felt like you say, maybe there was a time management issue there where he had to do the run in, I'm sure. Yeah.
Watch the start of Raw, ladies and gents, because it seemed to me like there was a missed time somewhere in there, or Miz was late. Maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe Miz was meant to attack Cody, and it was just a bit. It was just a bit off time. Maybe Miz was a bit late, or they were supposed to say something and they didn't, and then Miz was like, "Oh crap, I better run out there." And then anyway, but Cody Rhodes got the win. I don't expect it any other way, really, to be honest. At the minute,
I mean, you got to keep him rolling on Raw at least. I think that way. In premium live events, he could possibly take losses. I mean, because somebody brought up something very important. I think listening to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, like us all, BenNy, we've all been guilty of this. We put so much into wins and losses, but at the end of the day, it's all about entertaining us as an audience. So I think we put almost too much merit. I mean, I do agree you want to give it a sports feel where they mean something, but in the same sense or regard, it's not always about that. I mean, it goes back to our Austin Theory discussion. Check it out in the archives. That's a shout out to my good friend, the host, BenNny Mac, who really got me lit up and inspired the Go Fickle Me movement. It's not just a shirt. The in the corner Go Fickle Me movement. Screw politics. Screw what's going on in your country. Don't do that. Don't take my advice. That's the wrong advice. I'm just saying for the sake of getting merchandise. There's a lot of great merchandise. I've got to plug what you're doing because this guy deserves it. He's over like Rover. I mean, he's on a Dominic Mysterio type level. It's incredible.
I'll grow a mullet and be Latino heat for in the corner.
There you go. Yeah, and I want to hear that accent, like doing it with Latino heat. The good UK. Yeah, do it. Come on. But we better transition. But leave it to me to get it off the rails. That's
no,
why
it's fine.
it has me on.
Can't remember where we were, to be honest. Well, I'm going to mention them because I keep wanting to mention them every week, and I haven't seen much of them. And we've obviously seen a lot of squash matches and stuff. But in this year, we should mention they are sort of lurking around the background of Raw. They're having like short matches. They got Jinder Mahal with them, a former WWE champion. There isn't a lot to say about them at the moment, other than they are literally being a team that is just dominating whoever's in the ring with them. And obviously,
they're destroying the competition. The only thing, there's not much to really break down in their matches or storyline, like you're saying. They're just good background. It's a good way probably to propel them having Jinder Mahal associated. Because it's the whole India connection. They're all from India or of Indian descent. And it's a good way to reprogram these guys. Maybe that's what it is. It's a good restart. They had to go to NXT, then they're back on the main roster in this form, and you've got Jinder with them. So that's all I really equate it to.
I mean, they beat down Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander, didn't they, a few weeks ago? That was their first real main roster people because they were fighting or going against local enhancement talent. Yeah, no disrespect to them, but
no disrespect at all. But it wasn't like it was a Shelton Benjamin or a Cedric Alexander. To be fair, because those guys, like I say, main roster guys. I'll tell you what, I get why they have to use Shelton Benjamin in this role, even Cedric Alexander, but it's such a shame. I mean, these guys are they could be main eventers, even upper mid-carders, and they have been, especially Shelton Benjamin. I just think, what a waste. I mean, I've got to be real. It's just, that's the frustrating thing. That's where a little bit of negativity, because poor Shelton Benjamin, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I know it's a good way to get these guys over, but in the same sense, it's like, and maybe I contradict myself. It's kind of funny.
Sometimes you think, oh, that was crap. Oh, actually, that was quite good. And then you break it down into the
when you think about it a little more, it's like, and maybe I shouldn't feel bad for Shelton Benjamin. He's had a great career. A lot of guys it's like Ziggler. You think maybe they're getting buried. They're not. Maybe we're wrong about Corbin, even though it looks, because that was the only other point I would go to. I know we're talking Raw with SmackDown is, I like how at least they're going to continue the storylines with NXT. So it made sense to bring up Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams because of the issues and Baron Corbin attacking him a few weeks ago. So I'm kind of glad it does have its positives with the negatives. So it's not all bad. I want to point that out.
Yeah. No, I understand. Just so I mentioned, because we haven't really mentioned them, to be fair. They are lurking in the background of Raw, really. There's not much to report other than they might be having a match against Shelton and Cedric somewhere down the road. They were offering them a real match, is their words, after they beat them down when they were supposed to have a match, trying to make a statement, which is, they're basically a tag team making a statement at the moment, aren't they? They want to, but how long that lasts.
You're pushing them. You're trying to showcase what they're able to do, and you finally get them in there with a really good team, or at least a pretty decent one, guys that have experience and that are able to make them shine even more, or just even if they look imposing, it's not like it's a complete squash match. There's actually, it's competitive. Make it competitive.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see what they could do against somebody who actually fights back, essentially,
I know, actually defends himself.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not no pushovers. This ain't, me from nowhere, Tennessee, and no offense because I'm from Tennessee, but it ain't like it's me in there or some other guy. Now you talk about their enhancement talent. I would be the job guy. I would lay down for the pin. It would be like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash again, the finger poke of
Oh
doom. Just
God.
poke me,
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as that was, that would be me in reality. Hey, this is the creative they gave me. I'm changing it. I'm just gonna lay here and yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you made me think of something you said about being the worst thing. In terms of like, I mean, I don't expect, maybe the chat can answer. I don't know. Maybe people listen to the podcast. Go to In the Corner WWE on Twitter. Which is the worst wrestling moment out of these two? The finger poke of doom is what you mentioned, Nash and Hogan, or the Shockmasters debut, which is the worst.
That's two bad ones, and I love Fred Ottman, who was also a tugboat. But he, and bless his heart, he still gets down the road, and it wasn't necessarily all his fault, the creative, with respect to Dusty Rhodes. Maybe that's who was doing WCW's creative at the time. But that was just so bad. Him trying to go through that wall, and then just oh, man, everything fell apart. And that was just, that lives on because you got YouTube, you got all the internet. I mean, it's just one of those moments. And now, and they're both pretty bad for different reasons. So that's actually a good one. I don't know which one would. I would think
worse?
as bad as Hogan and Nash is, I don't know. Shockmaster is up there. That's still. I don't know though. It's still maybe a tie every time I want to give. Yeah, it is. Let's get back to that. I'm gonna have to kind of reevaluate.
Might try and put that out. I'll put that on Twitter maybe for next week's show. Maybe we'll get
there. You go. People can help us out. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Dan Griffin based back on what our title conversation earlier. It's always going to, though, in terms of the bouts being the same, for the ease of making replicas and selling them. So that, I get it from a business standpoint. It makes perfect sense because obviously you don't know which bout's going to be popular, and then you could just make a slightly smaller one to the big, So
yeah, it could vary.
I get it.
But hey, I appreciate these points and comments because it does kind of help us kind of look at things differently, even if we bring up certain viewpoints.
Let's go on to Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, I think I might be with you on this in terms of some things. I'm trying to find a match here to end on a positive of the show because obviously I don't want to be the show ending necessarily on negative. But
right,
Becky Lynch defeating Chelsea Green. It is what it is. That's via submission. I didn't expect it any other way. But the promo beforehand with Zoe Stark, didn't
that did not resonate.
It didn't hit well, I don't think, and I don't. What did you think, Tyler? Because I'm struggling to find words for this at the moment.
Well, I kind of jumped the gun there because you can tell right away. I think we're both in agreement. At least I'm assuming, speculating. Zoe Stark, very talented in the ring, but this is where Trish was missed, or somebody. Somebody that could be a mouthpiece. You didn't really realize it but I felt sorry for her because it's not even coming at her just to attack her. That's not it. That's not my agenda. I've got nothing but admiration for Zoe Stark, and I don't mind her going against Becky Lynch. I just think, man, it puts you at a disadvantage already when you got Becky out there talking anyways. And then Zoe, I know, had to respond, but I almost rather she respond by just attacking her and they brawl than even getting this promo. It just because it did her no favors. And then you had Chelsea come out, which makes sense because she's going to be the opponent. To me, Sonya helps out Chelsea, even though Chelsea's okay. She's not a great talker. Sonya has got better, but that's what I'm saying. Even if Trish has been underwhelming as far as competing, she's a pretty darn decent mouthpiece, and even if she's not as good as Becky on the mic, talking about Stratus, at least she could have helped out Zoe Stark. I realized she couldn't be there all the time, and you've got to let some of these young talent grow and hit certain bullet points and let them try. And I think maybe that was just her test. But boy, she failed, and I hate to say it. I hate to end it in a negative. But I mean, it was just terrible. It didn't help the match with Chelsea Green and Becky Lynch, and it didn't help the interaction between Stark and Becky Lynch, even though Stark was not involved with Chelsea Green and DeVille, other than there was. Well, I'll take it back. There was a little confrontation as they were coming down toward the ring.
Yeah, the bit where Zoe Stark kind of went, "Ugh," like, "As I'm going to have you,"
trying to
type
stalk
thing.
her.
But
And even
Chelsea
that
Gre-
was bad.
Yeah, it was because the problem with that was that Chelsea Green didn't react. And what should have happened if Zoe, maybe that wasn't scripted, I don't know. But when Zoe Stark did that, Chelsea Green should have gone, "Oh," and Sonya Deville maybe stepped between them. Or
Yeah, nothing.
what they should have done, Zoe Stark's in the Money in the Bank women's match, and so is Becky. We obviously know there's a problem here. We also know that obviously it's Trish and Zoe and Becky. There's a whole thing going on, and that's fine. Instead of having Zoe Stark cut that promo, I think you're right. I don't think you're right. I know you're right. She either missioned Trish or somebody to talk for her. I'm not saying down the line she can't cut a decent promo, because I think she will get there. But at the moment, having somebody, just have her be the, lack of a better way of saying it, have her, Zoe Stark, be the muscle. Be the person that beats down the opponents, beats down for Trish,
There you
and
go.
does Trish's bidding. What they could have done instead, obviously it's hindsight, it's 2020, but Chelsea Green comes out, they start having the match, they might lock up a little bit, do a little bit of thing. Becky maybe throws Chelsea out the ring, and then, you know, the crowd will go, "Yeah, Becky," or whatever, and then Zoe Stark's music comes on. And Zoe Stark just stands at the top of that ramp. And he doesn't necessarily have to get involved, doesn't necessarily have to do anything after the match, just stand there and be menacing. And then the match ends, and just do that. Because cut that promo, again, maybe we missed something, maybe they missed something, I don't know. It just didn't resonate.
It didn't click.
It didn't click at all. You're 100%
Well,
right.
here's another thing, Benny, just real quickly, going to the point of Zoe Stark and Becky Lynch's promo segment on Raw. Maybe people can have chemistry in the ring. I mean, we still got to wait and see if that's a thing between Zoe and Becky Lynch, but maybe it just doesn't relate as good or as well on promos.
I think you might be right. To be honest with you, mate, you might be right. Hopefully that will get better.
We can hope, and like we both stated, we're fans of both Zoe Stark and Becky Lynch, especially Zoe Stark. But whether it was on the creative for WWE, it was on Zoe and Becky, or Zoe herself, I'm not placing blame on anybody. It just that's our intention. It will improve, because I think this was her first time at least cutting one on the main roster.
She's done a bit of backstage stuff, I think. I don't think she's done much in the ring.
She's done interviews and backstage. Yeah,
but not much, really. But it didn't help when Chelsea Green didn't, like, wince when Zoe Stark came at her. The fake out, because that would have been perfect, because Chelsea Green would have sold that perfectly. Like, proper, like, scream. And then
it's like she didn't catch it or didn't care, and then they kind of walked on by, and it made it worse.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay. So it made her look... Not I don't want to do the Vince McMahon thing, but it didn't make her look strong at all. Like, oh yeah, whatever, love. If anything, Zoe Stark should have beat Chelsea Green down for not flinching. Okay, you didn't flinch because you don't know who I am. Fine, here we go. This is who I am. So again, I don't think it helped. It hindered, definitely, and it could have been done a lot better. But again, we're two guys on a podcast, and hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, we are.
You know,
hindsight's 2020, and mine's probably 2040, even with glasses. So,
fair enough. Let's do a little bit of a positive. I don't know about you. You probably, I don't know where you're at with it, but I'm quite enjoyed the Alpha Academy trying to get Maxine Dupree ready for a wrestling match backstage and trying to do the arm drag and stuff like that, and that. Weirdly, it's kind of breathed new life into this Alpha Academy team, having Maxine Dupree, and it's gone a different way than we thought, because we thought initially, I mean, it might still happen, it might cause issues because all of a sudden Chad Gable and Maxine Dupree are starting to, like, get on, whereas obviously she was enamored by Otis, by someone. So, but I quite like this, and obviously the stuff she was wearing was very Alpha Academy-esque as well, so I'm quite liking what I saw from it. And Chad Gable getting a much-deserved win finally against Eric from the War Raiders. So, I mean, the match was a match. I'm not going to say the match was amazing, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the the entertainment side of it, and I also I love because Chad Gable we've given so much praise to. He's really good in the ring, and it still shows now. I mean, that roll reverse into that German suplex he does.
It was amazing, the transition, because he makes it look so easy, and that's such a hard move to do. I would imagine. I don't wrestle, but just watching.
I mean, are you enjoying the new Alpha Academy? It's again,
I am.
Okay,
I mean,
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I like Chad Gable. I like some of the entertainment stuff. I'm not going to get too grumpy on everybody. I do like I do like Otis. He's entertaining, but yet has an amateur background. So I kind of like how they told the backstory on him before. And Maxine Dupree, yeah, I kind of get funny. She's a very lovely lady, but I will say she has done great. The arm drag spot I did not see coming, even though you could see in the back, like you were saying, and even the commentary where Kevin Patrick, Corey Graves were even agreeing with us all. Yeah, how could you not be distracted by Maxine Dupree? Heck, I think all of us would be. I'm just speaking for me. I'm not going to speak for everybody else, even including this podcast. My bad. But I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble. I know. Just leave it to me.
No, you're not getting in trouble.
But
we're uncensored, mate. We're uncensored. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we are
uncensored.
uncensored. Okay, we don't have Stevie Richards becoming the censorship with Ivory and the Godfather. That was entertaining. But I digress. Getting back to this era of WWE, it was just it was a short match, but it was entertaining, that spot, and just Valhalla. How do you say it? It's a Viking word. I even practiced it, but I just slaughtered it. Is it Valhalla or Valhalla?
Oh, Valhalla.
I said Valhalla like it was a new name.
Mate, it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Screw it. It's my version, okay? I'm not even Scandinavian. Forgive me. I don't know the right pronunciation. I can barely spell out color. Yeah.
Valhalla, yeah. So, yeah.
That works. It was good, though. I can't believe I'm agreeing that this is, but I have been high on Alpha Academy. I do think you've got to have some comedy. You want to be serious at times, but this kind of comedy has kind of grown on me, honestly. It's like The Miz and like a lot of different aspects, if I'm going to be real.
Chad Gable and Otis, they can get it done in the ring, so they've got that, I don't know the realism's the right word, but they got that sort of, that about them. So when they do something funny, but with Chad Gable especially going forward, yes, we know he can be like, thank you, and all that kind of stuff. And,
or shush.
Shush.
Yeah, shush. Yeah. that was a pretty good impersonation.
Thank you. Not as good as Karrion Kross's Jesse Ventura earlier, but, it is what it is.
Well, I can't do that. My impersonations pale in comparison. I can't do the Jesse Ventura either, like Karrion Kross.
Your Paul Bear was good. Your Paul Bear was good. I can't do that. I tried to do Dusty Road once. Yeah. It didn't work very well. It came out German somehow. I don't know how that happened. Anyway.
So a German Dusty Road. Yeah, the American dream, baby, if you will. The common man. Polka dots, yeah, my son, the American nightmare carrying on the legacy, baby. I don't know. It's got like you got soul. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, I don't know.
Compared to my alternate history German one, that is pretty damn good, to be honest. Round of applause for Tyler on the old Dusty Rhodes.
Well, I try. I'll tell you who I try to study is Bruce Pritchard. Does some great impersonations. So I really try to study him. And
we'll have to get you to do some.
Yeah. Well, I try, but no, hey, don't feel bad because I can't do Roddy Piper. I love him, but I butchered that. I sound like I'm somewhere else, not even in his ether as far as him talking. So I think I tried it on in the corner, and you were right. It didn't hurt my feelings. I even made fun of myself. You're like, that is nowhere close.
It's all good. Before we get on to the rest of it, Shayna Baszler defeat Raquel Rodriguez with a roll-up and some help from Ronda Rousey. We've already talked about it, but I don't really get the whole unification of the NXT tag titles and the women's main one.
I don't either.
Maybe because they have struggled with the main roster ones, they want to incorporate NXT and SmackDown and Raw, so that maybe gives a bit more depth for the overall.
New life.
But it seems to have come out of nowhere. There was no real
story,
build, anything. So, and the problem is with that, because there's been no story, because there's been no build. I mean, we're probably getting the build now. Maybe I'm being a bit impatient, but there was no real it wasn't like there was like a Twitter war or they went to in NXT or the NXT tag team champions were on a
To cause
particular
an issue.
Yeah, there was no. Again, it's just been like, we'll do that. There it is. We'll do this.
Okay,
This
yeah,
week.
yeah. Let's. What is it? The cold open where there's no stories.
Well,
I mean, it's happened before.
Plucked it out the air, didn't they? Really, they literally did.
Yeah.
I mean, even if there was some sort of altercation backstage where maybe Alba Fire and what's she called? She's not called Kaylee Ray anymore, is she?
It's Alba Fire. That's right.
Alba Fire. Sorry, Alba Fire.
Dawn's the other
Isla
one,
Dawn. Sorry, yeah, I got it wrong. Because Alba Fire used to be Kaylee Ray, right? That's correct.
Kaylee Ray. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
Where
they could
they
have
from?
had.
Scotland. I love their accents, man. There's
Yes,
something about like
I
Scotland,
know-
Ireland that's interesting. Yeah.
I know Kaylee Ray was from. I think they both are actually. I think you're right. But even if they had a match on Raw and they won, they were like, yeah, we're the NXT Tag Team Champions. And then we have an interaction with Shayna and Ronda and those two teams backstage. You know, they're boasting about being the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. And then,
Nothing. Yeah.
yeah, well, we're the Raw and SmackDown. You know, we're the WWE Women's Champions. You know,
Caleb Braxton introduced them on SmackDown. Then all of a sudden we get them to come out. Maybe that was last week. I can't remember. Was that
that's what I
this week?
mean.
Yeah.
This week they were introduced, but they have been there before backstage.
Okay.
So, but it's just like this particular Ronda Rousey and Shayna thing just come out. Now, I know they want to take over the roster and stuff. It just seemed a bit random to me. But there we go.
No, it did it with me as well because I get it. Shayna created the NXT tag titles for the women's division, but I never remembered her being the one that was the reason. I can understand the women's championship, but maybe I'm missing something. Of course, I'm not going to dare get on her bad side. She could manipulate me and break my arm and really do some damage in her and Rousey and the NXT women's champions for that matter. So I say it respectfully, but I'm kind of maybe she was the motivation for those titles being created, but I heard that in the promo as well. So maybe I just didn't realize it. I don't know.
There you go. Daniel Griffin in the chat. They're going to have Ronda and Shayna win, but why not wait a week and have Alba and Isla win in the UK? Could be the making of them. Yeah, 100% right, Dan.
Yeah, Money in the Bank.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
That's a good point, Dan. I mean, I'm for the UK crowd. I'm the biggest. I'm really kissing up to the UK people right now. They're featuring me on podcasts. They're making shirts. They're going to make me famous over there to where people are going to be so sick of seeing Go Fickle shirts. They're going to want to throw them in the trash, burn them. BenNny's going to say, we don't know this guy. He's somewhere else. You know, his identity's unknown. Yeah.
Mate, if we're I'll tell you what, anything on the SJP World Media, if this show in particular or any show, I think anybody that's with us,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know you are, but I want to give you haven't got to thank us, mate. You're much as part of the network as me. You're on my show, and I appreciate it big time. So don't worry.
Well, give me the Chad Gable. Thank you. That I wish I could see you. You do a good Chad Gable. You should have done it right then. Yeah.
I missed that opportunity, didn't I? Speaking of crowds, though, let's move on. Let's segue. As much as I am in favor of crowds being mental, loving it, getting into it, and being part of it, and all that kind of stuff. You might have to remind me where Raw was this week, so I've forgotten. But
was it Wichita or Kansas or something? I think Wichita's in Kansas. I'm even from the States, and I can't remember where everything is. Yeah.
But in terms of geography over there, you're going to have to help me out because I don't know. But I don't know my own geography. Yeah. But anyway. We had Finn Balor looking a bit down backstage and stuff like that and all that. And this all led from last week with him being told not to come to ringside by Damien. He did anyway, but luckily it didn't cost Damien or whatever it was. So yeah, anyway, a bit of turmoil within the Judgment Day in terms of Finn and Damien possibly, which leads me on to this. Finn Balor comes out, calls out Seth Rollins. Now there's history built in here straight away. Obviously in 2016... Finn Balor became the first Universal Champion. Most wrestling fans are going to know this if they're WWE fans or even just wrestling fans in general. But ultimately, Balor got injured and lost a year of his career. Accidents happen, but Finn Balor wanted to cut a promo and wanted to talk. Now, Seth came out. You have the usual singing, and I get it. And have fun. You paid your ticket by all means, but I really wanted to hear what Finn had to say.
I did too. No, I'm with you, and I'm from the States. I think that's where it's really becoming a problem because I mean, it's one thing to do it, and they kind of milk it, and I don't blame them, but at the same time, that's where that's where we've got to have more courtesy, more respect to these athletes, to the people, because they're entertaining us, and they're trying to get these important stories over, and it really messes up some of the poignancy to me. I guess I could use that term as to why Finn, because he, like you said, there's backstory, there's a history. We want to hear it, and unfortunately, it's one thing to have heat on you, but if you get too much, or you're just doing a sing along, it's not even so much heat. I mean, enough's enough, like Owen Hart used to say. Come on, let the man speak.
I mean, Seth held the microphone at one point and was like, "Yeah, keep singing." And initially, I was fine with it, but it then became more and more like, okay, I actually want. Finn tried to get his promo. They just started singing over him. Okay, right, he is the heel.
More fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I get that, but Seth had an opportunity, I believe, here. I mean, you got to be careful how you do it, obviously, but I believe Seth had a moment with like, look, I appreciate you singing my song. I really love it, but I want to hear what Finn Balor's got to say. Like, there's better ways of saying it the way I've said it, but there was a moment in that promo where Seth could have like gone, just bring it down now, lads, ladies and gents.
I mean, he could.
Because this has a potential of being a great feud, because there's backstory here. There's stuff that happened in 2016. And I mean, I get what Finn was saying, but it lost a little bit of meaning for me, unfortunately, because of and I'm into crowds.
Crowd noise.
The crowd was singing his song so much, and I get it, but like,
we want to hear what Finn has to say.
Yeah, this was a moment to sell that match at Money in the Bank, basically. And now they could remedy this next week by having maybe a video package of what happened, have a sit-down interview with Finn Balor to get that gritty, he cost me.
You don't have to worry about any kind of noise.
Exactly, yeah. Dan Griffin in the chat, there's a fine line between a crowd being rabid but engaged. Puerto Rico would just be an assholes, according to Finn Balor.
Now that's a good way to put it. And I'm even from the States, but and sometimes I get it. You get caught in the moment. But sometimes you got to realize, hey, listen, because I still want to hear somebody speaking it, whether it's a wrestling promo. I relate it to even a TV series. Sometimes you're in a noisy room. You're like, well, wait a minute, that's okay, but I missed an important point.
I want to hear this. I'm into this.
Yeah.
I'm still, because of being a long-time fan, I'm into this match because of what happened in their past. And Finn Balor, yes, he has had rematches for the Universal title, and it was against Roman, but he hasn't really recovered to that level, has he, since he's been back?
No, he hasn't. And that's what made the promo believable. At least we got that much out, because they eventually did. The noise did go down. But that's what I enjoyed, because a lot of it I missed or had to go back and see, because there was a period of time where I didn't watch wrestling, including WWE. So I was interested. So, and that's what was my frustrations. I'm like, I want to hear what Finn's got to say to Seth, and it's just, I don't get it. I think that's what I mean, though. He talked about his momentum was killed, and Seth was able to get on the rise, this trajectory. It all was making a lot of fascinating kind of, it was sensible. I'll just borrow that word again. So, no, I'm with you. There was just a lot of good stuff between both of them. Or at least I don't want to overhype it like it was just great stuff, because like you said, at the crowd at the beginning really killed it. But I mean, at least they recovered enough to where you got
they got it out. They got the promo out, but I think it annoyed me. I wasn't thinking about the promo at that point then, because
I see where you're coming from, and we're even fans. No, I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah.
You've paid for your ticket. You're there to call wrestlers. Oh, you're crap or whatever, or booing and cheering, and it is good fun. I've been to a Raw taping back in 2009, and you've been yourself. You went to SummerSlam, I think last year, was it?
Yeah, SummerSlam, and went to Raw in January. So
so the atmosphere is amazing, isn't it? It can be really amazing.
That's great.
You're really into it.
It's a lot of fun.
But in this moment, I as a person sat at home, and I'm sure there were people in the crowd that were like, yeah, I love singing Seth Rollins' song, and yeah, we're annoying Finn Balor and stuff like that. But there is a point of just like, come on, I actually want to hear this. And this is the equivalent, as you said, about a TV show. It's like somebody walking in to your living room, playing a stereo music boombox, whatever, and playing the music really loud while you're trying to listen to a key piece of information in a TV show or a movie or whatever. And it was just like, but there was a moment where I feel Seth could have gone. I don't know how he would have worded it. I'm not that way inclined. So I would have to think about it. But he could have been like, "All right, I appreciate you singing my song. What do you want, Finn? Something to that effect." And Finn could have then broke his story down. And actually, if they'd have actually listened to Finn, I actually could have seen some of the crowd. Maybe we could have had a bit of a mixed reaction in the terms of, because Finn did get injured. He was the first. I believe so, but unfortunately, we didn't quite get to see it.
It took away from the essence. So I completely concur. It's just, it drove me crazy. I did notice it because I just watched it last night as well. I don't know what time you got to do it over there,
Yeah.
but I know last night, normally Tuesdays, because I'm like a lot of people. I watch DVR like yourself and go back, watch SmackDown, whatever it is, on the DVR.
100%. Go to the chat quickly. Dan Griffin, I was pardon me. I was at the Raw after SummerSlam in 2015 in NYC. That crowd turned into dickheads during the women's match, and it was embarrassing to be there. So, I mean, obviously not everybody would feel that way. Obviously, a lot of people would have had fun in that moment. But I think in terms of our little corner of the internet, we agree. And I don't blame the crowd for having fun at all. But it just ruined the whole.
Sometimes you can prolong it to where it's not about having fun. You're just kind of doing it to do it, and a lot of times that does fall on the wrestlers, that their entrance is because they're so over, and those songs are. It's just kind of, and I think that's a problem Chris Jericho has. Even though I don't get to watch all of AEW, I know we're talking WWE, but he's supposed to even be the heel, and they get to singing his song, Judas. And Seth, I realize Seth is not right now, but it's still kind of, you could draw a comparison, the way that they're singing the songs, and
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, again, I don't mind crowd being loud in the sense of cheering and booing and chanting during matches and stuff. That's amazing. It just felt very, excuse me, but fucking disrespectful.
It was aggravating. Yeah, no, go ahead and say it.
I dropped my F-bomb.
You got to be realistic. No, don't worry about it.
It pissed me off, and I mean, as much as I'm putting it on Seth and Finn, mainly Seth, but like, what can they do? If the crowd want to do it, they're going to do it. Unfortunately, it's a live crowd, but
yeah, hopefully there's maybe not much they can.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully they'll remedy it for next week. I would love to see maybe like a video package. We see the match from 2016. I went back and watched that not long ago. I still enjoyed it. It's such a shame that Finn Balor. I wasn't a big fan initially of the Universal Championship. But, Roman Reigns has helped that to no end. Brock Lesnar helped that to no end by holding it for when he did and stuff. But I'm just a World Heavyweight Championship guy. I want the big gold belt. That's just me all over, basically. So
no, I respect your opinion on it. I think we need to value world championships.
Ultimately, though, if you go into Money in the Bank, we are going to see Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. Although, let's talk about that for a quick second, because Seth Rollins goes, "Oh, let's have an open challenge next week. Oh, who's returning next week? Logan Paul. I wonder who's going to answer that fucking challenge." Now, I could be wrong
it's
on
in
that.
Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
It's his hometown. Yeah.
So, is Logan Paul going to accept the challenge? Then obviously Seth's meant to be facing Braun Breaker as well. So they've advertised Seth versus Finn. Does Seth lose the title this early? No, I don't think so.
Or does Braun Breaker show up on Raw instead of NXT and we have the match there?
That could be. I would rather that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too.
I would rather that. I don't dislike Logan Paul, what he has done in the ring and the matches he's done. But for me, they kind of advertised.
Why don't you save him for a surprise, though? I mean, sometimes
that was my thought. Why they did? Seth goes, "Let's have an open challenge next week." Okay, cool. Where are we? Cleveland. Okay, cool. Oh, I wonder who it's going to be. Or it might be Braun Breaker because he challenged him and blah blah blah. Oh, fucking Logan Paul comes out. Now I'm like, I'm not saying the match wouldn't be good if this does happen. I'm just like, you've kind of done it ass backwards to me. Whether it's just me, I don't know.
I mean. And maybe it's me too. I mean, I know we agree to disagree on some things, but there's going to be a lot of this where I'm scratching my head too. I'm like, what are we doing? I know I'm just a viewer, but come on.
It irritates. I mean, I think overall,
I like
enjoyed.
seeing this passion. I think
Yeah.
maybe I know you've had it without me being on here, but maybe the fickle stuff is bringing out the best in BenNy. That's a key word. Logan Paul
maybe.
show up in Cleveland or your hometown. Yeah, where's the fun in that if you're advertising everything? I think that may be the mistake we're getting into. We got to advertise everything instead of leaving a little bit of surprise.
It
I'm
would have been
not saying
nice.
not overly doing surprises either, but where you leave the window open at least for 1 week or 2 weeks. It don't even have to be weekly. Just
Yeah.
keep
I
us
mean,
engaged.
I'm kind of hoping I'm wrong, to be honest, that it's not Logan Paul, because that way, whoever does come out, it's got that more of a surprise to it. You know, who that would
Right.
be? Maybe one of these free agents that keep running around, like a Dolph. Is it Dolph Ziggler's a free agent? I think Baron
Yeah, I
Corbin's a
think
free
Ziggler,
agent.
Corbin, Mustafa. Well, Ali's been on there. That's. I mean,
Yeah,
he's a free agent though. I think so.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the only match we've got to talk about, really, I mean, we've gone the negative. I didn't mind it. It was kind of thrown together. I love Kevin Owens' attitude at the moment, with like literally calling out all the BS. He's almost
I
like
know.
breaking the
I mean,
fourth
he's
wall.
just mad. Yeah, his blood pressure is rising. At first, I'm not sure that I'm crazy about it because I think the only problem I'm seeing is this can be overdone a little bit. I like Kevin
Yeah.
Owens being the fighter, but I'm afraid we're going to see this kind of play out too much. That's just me. I could be wrong.
I can see the worry. I understand where you're coming from with that. At the moment, it's still entertaining to me. I love them on
He's
commentary.
great. You know.
I loved Sammy and Kevin Owens on commentary a few weeks ago. I love this.
LA Knight was good on SmackDown.
Yes, he
That's
was.
another
Yeah,
good one.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We missed that. Yeah, LA Knight was brilliant on commentary. I would like LA Knight to win Money in the Bank. I think.
I would too. I think he needs something. Not that he couldn't survive. I don't want to get in dire straits here, but he's another musical reference. There we go. But LA Knight without meaning to. But LA Knight is he's getting the reactions. I just like the whole presentation, what he can do in the ring, just his promos, everything.
He's not. I'm not going to say he's not doing anything in the ring, but he's not necessarily going mental in the ring with doing over the top with his stuff. He's doing
and that's the beauty of it. I think you don't have to be over the top. I think that's why we're enjoying LA Knight. He's kind of like an old school wrestler that's involved into the new school, but doesn't have to necessarily follow the new school format. I guess there's an appeal to him in that regard. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't know if that does.
Yeah, no, I think so. No, I think so. So we ended up having the Undisputed Tag Team Championships put on the line. Kevin Owens had to go and change out of his t-shirt and shorts into another t-shirt and shorts, which made me laugh. Sami Zayn.
His Mean Gene Okerlund shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Oh, yes, he did have a Mean Gene Okerlund shirt on.
That was cool. Yeah.
They defeated. We already said it, but they defeated Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. I think ultimately, like I've already said it, Matt Riddle came to late in the match, but like Matt Riddle, I feel like we are going to see Riddle versus Gunther. I don't think it's been announced yet. I don't know if it's going to happen at Money in the Bank.
They're planting the seeds at least. I mean,
I feel like it will.
Each week something. No.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I was kind of glad that it has gone the way it is. Dan Griffin in the chat, in the most complimentary way, LA Knight is very like the Miz. So that makes sense. Yeah,
interesting.
It's interesting take, definitely interesting take. But that's pretty much it, man. Yeah, not biggest letdown for me was I want to see Finn versus Seth. This match needs to happen. It's long overdue. It's been 7 years, I think.
It's been a long time.
But that promo just
it deserved better.
If you haven't seen it, I don't want to necessarily subject you to bad stuff. But maybe we're being a bit harsh, but it was the crowd just shit on it for me, and it got to a point where it was just. I was like, I actually said out loud at the TV, let them talk, because I want to hear this. This has the roots and the elements to be an absolute epic tale going forward because of the history that happened 7 years ago.
I did like how, speaking of the 7 years of the history between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, how, BenNy, you brought up, I like how Seth did say this. He's like, I like seeing this side of you, Finn, but I don't want this version of you. I want the version that, that was back 7 years ago. I want that Finn Balor. So that was a great line.
one thing we got to mention quickly. That was a brilliant line. You're right. We saw Finn talking to JD backstage.
Yeah, we did.
And we also, which was interesting. And then we also had Damian Priest. Finn Balor says, "If I win the title, you're not gonna. If you win Money in the Bank, you're not gonna cash in on me, are you?" No, I can't believe you have to ask me. I wouldn't do that. So let's play. Let's just play booking. BenNny's booking quickly, as we'll call it. Let's say I don't think Seth is. I think Seth will win. As we sit here right now, I want to see what happens next week before I make any sort of final decisions. Obviously, I believe you and Sai are going to be doing the Money in the Bank stuff anyway, because I'm not here.
I'm wearing the Bret Hart shirt. We're going to miss you, BenNny. I'm going to wear the Bret Hart shirt. I don't know if Sai's got a Shawn Michaels shirt, but I'll still wear it when we're all together. But I thought that was fitting, so I need to say. But that's why I hadn't wore the Hitman yet. I'm kind of waiting for the special occasion.
Fair enough. To wind Sai up is what you're getting at, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, by the time Money in the Bank hits, I'm going to be on. I think I'm going to be. I can't remember whether I'm going to be here for predictions or whether I'm not going to be. I cannot remember. I think it's going to be. I believe no. You guys are going to be doing the Money in the Bank review, looking back at it, because I'm not actually around that week. So, in however many episodes it will be, we've done 57 at the moment. For the first time ever, you guys are going to be running the ship for me, so I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what you guys bring to it.
Oh, no problem.
But
hey,
yeah.
We'll miss you, but we're happy to, man, to step up.
No, I appreciate it. Holiday. Go on holiday. Anyway, my point, what I was getting at was BenNny's booking quickly was very much a case of, let's say Damian Priest does win Money in the Bank. If Finn, I don't think Finn will win. Let's just say Finn doesn't win. Seth wins. But Damian Priest cashes in on the same night and possibly becomes world champion. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to happen at Money in the Bank, but let's just say it does for argument's sake. That would then, I think, cause more jealousy more problems between Finn and Damian Priest going forward. I don't think that is necessarily going to. I don't think whoever. I mean, again, I could be wrong. It's very interesting what's happening. The dynamic is the seeds are being planted between Finn and Damian.
Makes me wonder, if to your point, if Damian Priest doesn't, we don't see more of the babyface Damian Priest. Maybe they've felt his time has run out on Judgment Day, and they're ready, with this main event push to get him out of the group.
See, my way of looking at it was actually Finn turns babyface, and he's taken out of the group maybe. But either way you do that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would. And a babyface fan would not be bad either. I mean, if you're going to be good, you got to be able to do them both sometimes. I mean, certain people can only do one or the other, but it shows versatility. So, hey, either way, would be compelling.
Yeah, it'd be like I said. I think maybe this doesn't happen straight away. Maybe I'm being a bit too quick off the mark there. But if, let's say, Damian does win it, I believe that is when we'll start seeing the start, and maybe JD comes in with Finn, maybe. We'll see how it pans out, but I'm very interested going forward with that.
Yeah, it's a nice twist with what's occurring between Damian Priest and Finn Balor and JD McDonough now too, from what we saw backstage. Just real quickly to go back to the Bayley Io Sky ordeal, I think we've talked about it. Pardon me, that Io Sky will probably split from Damage Control. And stuff, and I think we'll see maybe more of that story, the continuation, and really start to see the genesis of it possibly at Money in the Bank. Yeah, because of what happened. Maybe Io Sky gets tired of her having to help her all the time, or it comes down to if she wins the Money in the Bank, because then she gets an opportunity to cash in. We'll see who turns on who, or you could go different routes there.
I think either way, whether Io wins it or Bayley wins it, but I think but I don't think either one could not win it. Basically, is what I'm getting at. But you could still have problems start to brew within that match.
Still have friction, yeah, and that's true. You don't necessarily have to have a title or anything to that effect to make it worthy of having some problems between the two. So
100%.
Now that's what's good. We bounce off these different ideas, and whether we agree or disagree, it's good conversation. I enjoy it.
Fantasy booking as every week. Well, I hope everybody. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's still good. I mean, I enjoy the fantasy booking, whether it happens or not. It's neat to that's what it is. It's fantasy. It's
It's
cool
good to speculate. It's good to speculate. I'm actually looking forward to Money in the Bank. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, you guys will be doing the review show. I will check with Scyther. I think that's already locked in, but I'll double check with that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys say. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the episode, ladies and gents. I appreciate everybody chatting to us in the chat. Those that stuck around, I appreciate it. Tyler, before we go, let's do the usual. What you're doing? I know you've got new projects on the run. I don't know if they're up and running yet. With the other podcast you were doing, is that up and running yet? Or well, share with us basically. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I'm at Dustin Teller 86 on Twitter. Of course, do In the Corner, of course, with this great guy and his great program, BenNny Mac within the Corner WWE on SJP World Media. Me and Danny have back when we're still trying to get that figured out because it's live. People have things going on. It's just, but we are going to get some new episodes. Plus, Danny is doing a lot too, so he's involved with a lot of other projects on SJP. And shout out to Josh and his show. RSH as well. Got a shout out to our good buddy there and what they're doing. But the projects, Wrestle Buddy, the weekly report, currently doing Around the Table Wrestling Scoops. We'll be recording that tomorrow, and that will be released on Monday. Also, doing a new show with Zero News. I think some of them are based out of the UK as well. So we're, a lot of good folks in the UK and I think we're doing kind of a news-related show. Part of me, I don't quite have the title yet because it's that new. I think it premieres this Sunday, Father's Day weekend. So we'll be doing it, and it may be live. I can't. I don't really know the specificities. That's the thing. Right. It's kind of, but I want to give it a shout out. So there's just so much going on. I'm with you. It's hard to. I feel fortunate to be involved, but it's hard. Yeah, hard to keep up. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously you can follow this show at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. You can follow myself at BenNny Mac BNNYMACK, and of course all the great content on SJP World Media. Obviously, this is 3 weeks in. We're not doing too bad, Tyler. I think live. I think we're doing okay. I think people are enjoying it. Hopefully,
I think we're starting to get the hang of it. I mean, it's funny. You would think audio you've got it down pat, but it's a different animal going live though. I mean, it's really unique that there's that much. That there's some contrast here or there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a better grammar. No.
Well, if you want to watch
us, get here and there.
If you want to watch us live, we are live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 Eastern time, I believe. And we are obviously on Spotify, Apple Podcasts as well, obviously, and Google, I believe, which takes forever to upload, but we are where you can get most podcasts. But we appreciate you tuning in wherever you are, whether it's live or a download later on. Tyler, hopefully I will see you next week. But if not, are you free next week?
I should be here. Yeah, I'll be available.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, excellent. So yeah, we've got Roman Reigns returning on SmackDown this Friday, so we'll be chatting about that. Obviously, we'll be talking about Raw next week as well, and anything else going on in WWE, and maybe. We need to look at this NXT thing, man. That was a great idea. We need to have somebody to come in to.
We do. I'm going to be looking out. Hey, we need to do the Regal thing and start scouting. That's what we need to do. Scouting. Yeah.
I will work on some impressions. I doubt I'll do any, but I can't beat Karrion Kross.
I'm going to try to hold them at a minimum because there's some I can't do as well, and others I need to practice or critique. But Paul Bearer. Now try not to overdo them, but I think it's kind of fun to do. We're wrestling fans. It's neat,
My friend does a Mickey Mouse impression, but does the Taken speech from the first film. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're from. I don't know if you've ever seen Taken, but he does it. I mean, I know Seth MacFarlane does Kermit. Seth MacFarlane does a Kermit the Frog one, but my mate does a Mickey Mouse one, and I've never recorded it, and I keep saying I'm going to, but it's absolutely hilarious.
That ought to be fantastic. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane, hey, shout out to Family Guy, all those family-oriented shows. I don't care, it's funny. So
there we go. Anyway, check out the links below in the description as well, because there will be in the podcast form anyway. You can get some merchandise, the Fickle T-shirt, the SJP stuff. All the SJP merchandise is on there as well. And yeah, I'm going to shut up now and play the credits. So Tyler, thank you very much.
Hey, you're welcome, BenNny.
And then we'll see you all this time next week. Catch you later.
to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.